In this video, we will talk about the importance of sustained pressure in FIFA 22. So guys, sustained pressure, why is it so important and what is it basically, right? Whenever I am doing coaching sessions with my students, they do not seem to know this concept and it's not talked a lot on YouTube, right? So when you tell people to defend in a straight line and use your CDMs to defend, what they do is they just keep going back and give the opponent so much time on the ball that the opponent scores the easy goal on them. On the other hand, guys, when you tell them to press, what happens is they start pulling their players out of position and then they leave so much space in behind, right? So what is the balance and what is the sustained pressure that pros use? Let me show you. So guys, this footage is from one of my best students of all times, Ahmed Suwaidi, who's one of the top ranked players in Middle East in FIFA 22, guys. So the thing he does so well is sustained pressure, right? So what is sustained pressure? Like I said, sustained pressure is the ability to press the opponent without pulling your players out of position, right? So look at this. So now what most people do in this situation, right? Remember one thing, wing is king in FIFA 22 and I will make a video on it as well, right? In FIFA 22, when you tell players to apply pressure, they start pulling the players out of position, right? As you can see, this guy has two options right now. The opponent, the Mbappe, has two options right now, right? Either he can run past him or exploit this space, or he can turn back inside, right? Now if we start jockeying back and we give him the space, we will give him the time to think, and that is the worst thing we can do. If you give your opponent the time to think, then that is the worst thing you do, right? So what does this guy do? He pressures him, makes sure that he is marking the pass inside, forces him to recycle, right? So now this is one of the top players you will see at playoffs as well. So he recycles the play. After his recycle, he switches back to his attacker, marks the pass inside, applies pressure, switches back inside, overcommits a little bit, but then forces him on the wing while making sure that he is not jogging backwards, right? So most players in this situation would switch to this guy or to this guy and try to mark this pass, right? Now what will that do is that this will leave this guy too open on the wing and he can dictate the play. So as defenders, the goal is to dictate the play ourselves, right? So he will just use the gas and the brake technique and apply pressure on him, right? The buttons are not the key. The key is how you approach the game. What is the gas and brake technique? You all guys know it. If you don't, the link is in the description, right? So he will apply pressure with L2 and R2 when he is near the opponent, and he will make sure that he is also covering the next pass, right? And eventually get the ball back. Now you can see the opponent is building from his half, right? Now you can see in some situations you have to pull the player out of position. As you can see, the opponent is making the sprint on the wing, and we have Danny always over here, right? He can cut this guy here as well, but with Verratti he will chase because he knows that his opponent is sprinting. So whenever the opponent is sprinting, the opponent is not having a ball contact, right? So what does that mean? Look, because he is sprinting, the ball is further away from his feet, and that is an opportunity for us to make a tackle and get the ball back, right? So we do not want the opponent to have too much free space in the build up. So he will chase with Verratti, force him to turn back, right? And eventually keep pressing him. This is called sustained pressure. He will also make sure that he's making second man press, so in case he makes this pass, it could be intercepted, right? And now if you look at the radar, his team is positioned correctly, right? His team is positioned correctly, and this is why he's able to read the game. So now this has to do with game awareness, right? Now he will pull his Verratti back in position. So now this has to do with game awareness. Like I said, you need to be aware of what your opponent is doing, and until and unless you develop your game knowledge and game sense, you will not be able to do these things correctly, right? The main component here being the right stick switching. Look, if you cannot improve your right stick switching, you can never improve in any FIFA, right? If your right stick switching is good, you will be good in FIFA 22, even in FIFA 21, and even in FIFA 23, because right stick switching is such a fundamental, right? And if you are fundamentalist, then you will be very much improved on every FIFA, guys. With that being said, look, once again, he's making sure that his defense is in line, because now the opponent has transitioned from his own half in towards his half. So now you have to understand these things, right? There are three phases on the pitch, right? First third, so this is the second third, and now this is the final third, right? So whenever the opponent is in the first third, you can apply some manual pressure, right? Because you have the luxury to do so. You have the advantage of numbers. In the second third, the goal is to make sure that the players are in position while at the same time you are applying some pressure. Now when the opponent reaches this space over here, the final third, right, you have to be extra careful and make the correct decisions because there is very little room of error. So you need to understand that there are 3/3 on the pitch and you have to play accordingly, right? So FIFA, you have to play accordingly. This is why I say mindset is so important. If you're not playing with a clear mind, you will not be able to improve so much, right? So now look, once again, applying pressure. Always switching between players and applying pressure, right? He's also cutting the passing lane. He's making it congested for the opponent, while at the same time his defenders are in position, right? How do you do that? You do that by reading the game, knowing what your opponent is gonna do. If you can get into his head and then maneuver your players accordingly, yes, you will be able to replicate this. Now on the other hand side, if you are someone who just likes to switch to these players and run, nothing's gonna happen, right? Because the problem with most players in FIFA is they think that defending is one dimensional. There is no one correct definition of defending correctly, right? Defending is situational, and this is why I'm helping you become better at reading situations, right? So in this situation, you can see once again the speed boost is overpowered. This guy is trying to go on the wing. He's applying pressure. So if he recycles, there's Fabinho back inside, right? So he applies enough pressure, forces him to turn back inside. Fabinho eventually takes up his natural position and starts to cut the pass inside, right? So he is forced to recycle. Now once again, he makes the offside trap because the defense is in position, right? So defense is now in perfect position, and you can see he was also applying pressure. If you talk about tactics, the tactics on my channel are the ones being used here. So you can see, right, perfect shape, perfect positioning, and afterward, when his opponent finally turns, he has the advantage of numbers inside the box and he is able to get the ball back. So now this is the art of defending on FIFA, guys, literally, right? Once again, the opponent is starting out from his half, right? So this is the first third. In the first third, you can apply manual pressure and you can run at them using the gas technique and apply pressure and close down spaces, right? So the goal is to run with one player and then switch to the next player and try to cut the pass with that player using the R2 button. Because with R2 you can move freely, you have this freedom of making the sprint in defense, and this is what you should be doing in the first third of the pitch, right? So this is what he is doing, and eventually forcing his opponent to make bad decisions, right? Using his attackers, using his cam to apply pressure. You can see not giving so much space to the opponent, manually selecting the right back, right? Now see, he is maintaining position while also applying pressure. So the goal of this video is to make sure that you are maintaining position while applying pressure, right? It's all about understanding, right? It's all about understanding. So now what has he done? He has made sure that once again, there is right back over here, the CM. The goal is to not let the opponent make dangerous passes, right? Make him do something out of the box, something magical to score the goal against you. Do not make silly mistakes, right? So it's always putting opponent in uncomfortable positions by just simply right stick switching to his players and maneuvering them correctly, right? It depends on opponent to opponent. It depends on the situation. Defending is not one dimensional. Understand that. If you want to improve on FIFA, you must understand that defending, it's not one dimensional, guys, right? At the same time, applying pressure with Fabinho and making sure that he's able to cut the pass inside. Look. Good. Always forcing the opponent to recycle and always covering the pass inside while at the same time applying pressure, right? And forcing the opponent to make bad decisions. Now this is one of the top players. He's be at the playoffs, his opponent, and he's able to do this. This was a FGS match and he won this, right? So one of the key things about this match when I was looking at it was the ability to apply sustained pressure, guys. If you can learn to apply sustained pressure and position your defenders correctly depending on the situation and depending on where the opponent is, if you understand this video, if you watch it a couple of times, I'm giving you golden knowledge, right? When I was beginning, if someone taught me this, I would be so happy, guys. These are the things that you can only learn with experience. But yeah, man, I am giving you to use it, watch it again and again, and you will improve, right? And make sure to combine it with the gas and brake technique. The link will be in the description. Without the gas and brake technique and without the right stick switching, you can never progress on FIFA. Until next time, it's me, King Sanya. See you soon.